Hi everyone. This is the Kubeflow and AutoML training community meeting on 19th of May, US friendly time zone. I think I will start with sharing my screen. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I think we will start with the AutoML because we don't have a lot of agenda here for training. We do have a huge discussion which we should raise. So the first thing that I want to discuss about the video recording, because actually we started to make the recording from, I don't know, I think February. So I have around 6 recording already. And the problem is like we still waiting until the Kubeflow YouTube channel will be available for us. So I think for now, because I know like many people can't attend the US friendly and Asia meetings, and a lot of cool thing happenings on the both meetings. Especially we had few presentations from people from Baidu and other electronic operators, which happening on the Asia friendly time zone. And I think it would be great to actually show these presentations and at least like post this recording somewhere. So I think for now, maybe we can just try to use some YouTube channel, which is basically just, I don't know, my YouTube channel, for example, because I don't know like how much time it will take to actually allow us to upload videos on Kubeflow one. And it, like after that, like once we actually have the Kubeflow channel available, we definitely can upload these videos again on that one. What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because at least like we can show the people that we're doing the great progress, and they can see what is our roadmap and what our plan in the future. So yeah, for now, let's use. Okay, private YouTube channel. Yeah. By the way, also, I think for now, I will upload all of the videos. So yeah, and I will just let others know about in the mailing list. It's at least these videos they can take a look. Okay, speaking about the release, soon there will be like 1.3.1 release, and from at least like AutoML working group, originally I was thinking that we can release these 2 features. So I don't think this is a good idea right now because basically the patch releases is for bug fixes and not for the new features. So I have already like discussed about it with Yanis, and he agreed on that. That's for this release, probably from the KD perspective, we will only just cut the new version of the release 0.11 with the latest changes in this branch. And basically just because if you take a look in this release branch, we just made a few changes there as well. So if you go to release 0.11, and if you check the commits here, we have a couple of cherry picks, which we have done, but we didn't cut the 0.11.1 release. So I think we just should basically cut the new tag and release images using the new release tag. What do you think?
Yeah, it doesn't. I think the other PR that you told it doesn't look urgent, right? So I think we can wait and just go with the current one.
Yeah, because basically this thing that we integrated that was this is like completely new feature, which basically allows you to use new algorithm, which is like Sobol, I think, in GoPtuna. And basically this new feature can be included in the next release, like 0.12, which is which can be stable in the future. So yeah, I think for the 1.3, we will just make the new cut. Do you think we need to actually include something in this patch release, or we don't?
I think that should be good.
Okay. Yeah, and also the thing that in the future probably it would be great for us if we could just simply before making the release, we should make the first release cut for our branch, because originally once we make the 0.11 release for Kadip, we faced with some problems and bugs, and we can't even fix them in this like 0.11.0 tag, because basically we have already like done this tag. Because I think in the future it's like the good practice to maybe prepare the release cut before making the official release, and like what Kubeflow pipelines is doing right now. Does it like sound reasonable to you, Jono, or others?
Could you explain it? I didn't really understand. What do pipelines do?
So basically, pipelines, is if they want to do a new release, they just simply cut the new branch, and before they're making the official release publicly, they tagging this release like release cut like 0 or release cut 1, and after like I don't know, maybe 2 weeks has been passed, they just make the official release publicly and just create a new tag for this release. Because originally this branch is always point to the latest commit on the this branch is always point to the latest commit, but tag is not like always point to the latest commit. And I think we need to make sure that the tag, which is basically like point to the release, it's like already tested and has all of the bug fixes. Yeah.
So what is the master branch? I didn't understand that part. So
right now, so what we're doing right now, we just simply cut the branch, like release 0.11, and we create the new tag for this branch, like 0.11.0.
Yeah,
and
we have been doing the same thing for I think all the releases till now.
No, we're doing like this is for the first time, because before that we haven't cut the branches. We just simply create the tags.
Yeah, but I remember we have been doing that. I'm not sure about the latest one, but again, at least for the initial releases, we have been doing exactly like that.
Yeah, for the initial probably, because
we have created branches, and then the tag was actually created from there.
Yeah, from the 0, I think. Yeah, from the maybe previous releases, maybe 2 years before, we were doing this, but like for I don't know 0.9 and 0.10, we haven't done it. We haven't like cut the branch. So right now we cut the branch and we make the new tag. So my proposal here, just not tag, sorry, not like making the where is it? Yeah, so not actually cutting the 0.11.0 tag for the first time, making the release cut. So basically tag the release cut is 1, test this release cut. After this, like after spending some weeks, we just cut the new release cut. We're just making the new tag with the new release cut. And after like we passing, I don't know, 2 weeks, we can make the official release with the tag, for example, like 0.12.0, and say this is the release which is tested and which is actually can be used in production. What do you think?
The changes are merged to the final. So it is finally getting merged to the release branch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, because basically this release, it's right now is pointing to the branch basically. Yeah.
Yes.
So
initially what we have been doing was actually like we cut the release branch when we are nearing to the release, and then the final tag was actually created from the branch itself. Then all the targeted fixes will be there on the release branch. If there are main features can still happen on the master branch itself, and then that later the targeted fix, it's also cherry picked to the master branch. So
the branches always will have the latest changes. I agree, but the point is here, because once we make the tag, we're just pushing the images to the registry. We're pushing the SDK to the registry, and all of this process can't be done every time we make the new commit to the branch. All of this process is doing like right now once we run the script. So we should make sure that our images is like in the sync with these tags, with this like 0.11.0, 11.1, and 11.2, for example.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that this is like the that other projects are doing the same thing, so we can just simply follow them for this purpose. And again, like it's still like not clear to me how we'll make this automatically, because currently we have the script to make the release, and this script is running by manually. So we should think of, I'm not sure that Yao is here, which is originally, because I have like a few questions for AWS Infra, how we can make it automatically. Do you have any ideas here? Because in the infra part, we definitely should redesign our CI/CD pipeline to push images to Docker Hub and to ECR.
So there is some discussion happening there, right? Like whether we are, what is the best way to push the images? Whether are we going to use the open source good Docker Hub? I think there is something that we have to see. For now, I think we'll just keep it open. Let's see what others are doing and then take it.
Yeah, because I think the main problem there, like I don't know if ECR is working in China right now, but I remember that someone had told me that Chinese, actually you can't, without VPN, you can't pull images from ECR, from public ECR in China. I don't know if it's working right now. So if we don't have if we do have a problem with ECR, we can push images to the ECR in the Docker Hub in the same time. So because this is the same problem for training operators, for example, like how are we dealing with the images there? Are we planning to push them to the ECR?
Currently, yeah, it's not consistent. Some of the repos like they push the like TF, it push images to ECR, but for the rest of them, still on the Docker Hub. Yeah, that's like no issue. Yeah.
Do you have any ideas how we can be consistent across different projects?
So have you seen that issue, by the way, which was created a few days before regarding? Yeah, so they are like there's a discussion for having an creating the open source one.
This one. It is this one.
Yeah, 5922. Yeah, this one. So I think let's see what happens here, and then we'll just follow what.
Yeah, because from my point of view, we should be consistent across at least for training and AutoML, we should be consistent across different projects. And this like decrease the UI, like it will be so easier for our user to understand like which registry they should use for these couple of components. Yeah, so I don't know, like we can try to, as I said before, we can try to push images to the ECR in Docker Hub, and the user can decide which one they want to actually use. But for the Docker Hub, yes, I agree that we have the restrictions on the 500, I think, some sort of the pulls per day. So I think it's 400, as David said here. So I don't know what can we do right now.
Yeah, let's wait. I'm saying before jumping into anything, let's wait and see.
And for now, we will just as well, like we will manually push images.
Just go with the same thing that we have.
Okay. And speaking about like infrastructure, because we're still using Kirsonet, and this should be actually deprecated like 2 years ago. Yeah, we still I don't know, like what is the I don't know, Josh, do you have like a plan how we will use the infrastructure for training operators? Do you have a plan in your proposal that we can discuss?
That's the second step, I think. Yeah, currently we like to unify all the operators, and then we can have a consistent way. But yeah, for the detailed problem, we haven't discussed yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we will try to unify this CI/CD. I think we can maybe work on this once you integrate this like proposal with the common operator, and basically because this is the part of the implementation, right? So yeah, maybe in this step we can think about it more. Okay. Yeah, and the last thing that I want to discuss, like about the roadmap, I don't know if you just checked, but we have pushed the roadmap for 2021 for KDIP. So I hope that this is like a lot of features that we want to implement. Do we have any questions for this that you want to ask right now? I want to discuss about the roadmap.
So with respect to 1382, Richard hasn't joined, but Richard has told me that like he asked if that particular issue is being worked on. If not, he will find some time to contribute to population-based training.
Okay. Richard, which Richard you are talking about?
Richard from Google. He's in waiting now. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Richard Liu, right?
Sorry.
Sorry, Richard Liu, which let's say helped us to. Okay.
So he will contribute to this. Given like not sure about the latest status, whether some money is actually working on that. Else, he will find time to contribute to it. He couldn't attend today's meeting, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it would be great if we have some help from him because he made a lot of work for KD project before.
Right.
So yeah, anything that you want to, I don't know, highlight or you prioritize from the roadmap, from the user perspective. I know like Josh is here and we had a very good discussion on our like 1 month before about the roadmap, but anything else you want to highlight?
I guess my only comment, I'm really kind of a bird watching today, but
okay.
Yeah, I think like I talked to one of our users, our commercial users at a bank, you know, what they like, what they needed. And, you know, I think really they're just focused on the metadata tracking. They have all these wacky ways of, you design one thing and then the users go and do all these crazy things or, and so really it really boiled down to they just wanted better, they just needed me to point them at the metadata API, and
okay.
They just started using that. And I think as AutoML is a hot thing, and I know it's gotten better in 1.3, but consider this bank also is investing in tools like Snowflake. Have you guys used Snowflake?
Yeah, I think I hear about this.
Yeah, I mean, it's, and as someone who has long worked in distributed systems and built, multi-node MapReduce and Spark and all the systems, sometimes we forget that like the users just don't care. And that was kind of the word that they told to me about hyperparameter tuning. They were just like, all of this has got to work tighter, and I've got like a Snowflake project up in another window, and their UI is so simple. And so that's what I would say from like a directional standpoint, whatever that's worth, is just make it more snowflakey. And I think that that'll help user adoption, if that's a technical term.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. I'll just try to see what are the features they implemented, what is like the most popular features in their part.
Well, I think it starts with making like, and correct me if I'm wrong in 1.3, I don't know this, but it seems like Katib had its own metadata system.
We have like a metrics. We have a metrics volume system. So basically, we save the metrics in the DB currently.
Yeah, I'm really just making all of that, because they had different people kind of writing to the metadata different ways, and so people not using it. And I think that the user felt like that they didn't even know if it was compatible from like Katib to the notebooks to just like a Python script in a container, and really maybe unifying that so it's got just a more, no matter how they run it, if they're running these one-off, because these users were actually doing hyperparameter search and grid search by hand. They weren't using Katib. They told me they were using Katib, but when I looked at their code, they were doing like this manual grid search process. And I'm like, and they're like, we just want to track this. And I'm like, well, you're just going to have to manually plug it in through the API of the metadata system, but maybe no matter what they do, make it all kind of show up kind of in a uniform process, so they can go, one team's over here doing their manual grid search and the other team's using the Tib, and then, but they can go back and kind of compare the runs kind of easily.
And which type of the metadata they're using? Like maybe if you're speaking about like experiment process of hyperparameter tuning.
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
Which data they want to track during this experiment run, because I think this can help us to understand better which part is missing in metadata management.
I think one of the questions was, part of it was education. They just didn't realize what they could and couldn't do. And so I took them to do some of the sample notebooks. And part of it was, they're like, well, if I change this notebook, is it going to track it automatically? I was like, no, that's more of like a check that in to get, type of deal. So, and I kind of cautioned them. I was like, there are limits, Kubeflow supports everything, but it can't track everything too. It's just beyond the limits of, like I use the example of Snowflake. Snowflake gives you a nice experience, but it's a single track system. Like you do it their way and you buy into their way. Whereas, there's a lot of different ways to do what they do, and Kubeflow gives you all the options, so I think you keep as many options as you can, because that's the DAO of Kubeflow, but you want to have that central way to do it be super smooth and super silky.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. That's like for some cases again really hard to understand like which part of the Kubeflow you should use for your infrastructure.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't clear. Like it really was not clear to them on how to track metadata.
Okay.
And that is core to hyperparameter tuning, going back and looking at what happened.
So hey Josh, so how do they do that right now? How do they track? Do they do that like manually?
Yeah, they were kind of doing it manually, and that's kind of bad on my team for not being ahead of that for them quicker. But it's sometimes though, I mean, we were focused on other things at the time, and the user base kept growing. But yeah, they were, and they wanted to, I think ML Flow does this really well. Right.
Yeah.
It has a really good core. Like you can search the runs really quickly. Have you guys looked at ML Flow?
The metadata piece, I think in Kubeflow, I think it really misses the point. So I think it is not there yet when compared to other pieces. I think that is clearly a missing area in Kubeflow as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, like the metadata working group disappeared.
Yeah.
So that's probably an indicator that, I think I posted a message in the Slack channel. I'm like, when are we going to restart this? And nobody answered. So
it might be hard to actually understand which part of the metadata you want to track, like across different data scientist team. And I don't know, it might be hard to actually build something which can be unified across different teams, from my understanding. But
yeah, I just think that there's some simplifying work that can be done there to make it, a little bit better. I think it's a different call, because this is the AutoML call. So I'm trying to not derail that, but AutoML creates a whole lot of metadata, right? And you want to go look at it. And that seems to be with this, and this is a top tier bank. They got really good data science teams. They, weren't getting to AutoML, and they were doing it themselves because metadata was messing them up, So we are currently working with them with the API kind of in a manual way, but, and there's going to be some lessons learned from that. And that's probably something to invest into the metadata call, but.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. And I think what we definitely should discuss about, like talking about the summit that we probably should have and discuss all of this thing. But let's just first of all speak about the proposal. I think we have like few minutes after the proposal, and we can discuss about the summit, because the summit that we really want to have the combined training. And Josh, I think you also should be interested in this, because we're planning to actually have a summit for training and AutoML. which is basically can involve a lot of like new users, and we really can see like what they're missing in this part. But I mean, okay, let's just start with your proposal. Do you want to share like your screen to make it easier?
Yeah, let me do that.
Okay.
Let me see. Okay. Yeah, can you see the screen now?
Yeah.
Yeah, since the AutoML and the training meeting targets for different audiences in different, I mean, bi-weekly meetings. So I will present this time, and Wang from Tencent, he will present in the next meeting, which is like Asian time friendly. So I'll introduce the background first, and we have two like proposals. Actually two options, and we can have some discussion later. So currently, as we know, like Kubeflow has many training operators. I think right now we have in total 8 operators in the repo. And there's also two new proposals to add the paddle framework and DGL, which aims to solve the training problems on top of Graph. So we can see the training frameworks on Kubernetes is, I mean, the operators is growing. Here's the status actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so there's 8 in total, and I think Trainer and Cafe 2 we already determined to archive these two, but we have another 2 in reviewing. It has actually has some problems we noticed in the past few months or past year. The first thing is it's very hard to keep the framework like independent features like the metrics and some like common features consistent between operators. And we can see that currently the status in different operators are inconsistent. And we also talk about this in today's meeting, right? The shared testing infra and the release infra is very hard to reuse. Every repo has its own choice at this moment. Therefore, the Kubeflow components interaction like KFP, LaunchOff, or Cartip, there's some duplicate efforts to add the support. So ideally, I think we want to have like unified interface between those Kubeflow components. The last thing I think, yeah, so is the maintaining efforts increased linearly. Actually, we have very limited like maintainers at this moment. So as the number of the supported frameworks grows, the efforts grows as well. So from the user's perspective, user have to install different operators, and there's duplicate efforts on the logs, the metric settings, or some like their client-side interactions. And due to the inconsistent issue, the job spec actually looks slightly different, so it doesn't give user consistent experiences. So due to all these issues, I think we consider to provide like a monolithic repo to host all the DL frameworks for training operators. So the first proposal is very straightforward. We rewrite all those operators, and the idea is we used like one manager, manager to manage multiple controllers. Each controller is actually a reconciler. So all the in the same project, we have multiple controllers running, and they share all the informer cache, which can help improve the like performance. And the user side changes is when they plan to run this operator, So user can specify the controller to run as a like argument or option. So this is a very I think clear examples. So if we think, okay, user register this TF, let me change it, register this drop like TF drop, then we register this controller to the manager, and similar as other frameworks. The behavior will be very similar to what we provide at this moment. I think the advantage is very straightforward. We can address most of the previous like pain points we mentioned. And
so
go
one
ahead.
question. Does it mean that at most one controller is active at a time?
Not at most, it can run up to, let's say we have 5 in total. It can run 1 to 5. It
So is
depends
it
on the configuration. Yeah.
So is it? I see. So is it a single? So what would be the from the client? How will it actually look like? It's a separate CRD like what we have right now, but you have just a single binary. That's what you're saying.
Yes. There's only one manager, and each one, so that manager manage different controllers, and each controller manage its own CRDs. From users, I think usage experiences, we want to minimize the difference. So but the changes probably happens on the job spec side. For example, like the success policy, etc. So for currently, it's not very consistent. We want to use this opportunity to unify the experiences. Yeah.
Can I have also a question here? So basically, like
Yeah.
when you say like which job you want to register, so are we planning to integrate this flag in the controller binary file in the controller deployment, which user should specify? Okay.
Right. When they plan to, I think when they start this operator, they have the opportunity to override the default settings. And if some users just need TF, then it doesn't have to run all the operators.
Yeah, because basically we follow the same techniques in KDB.
So
yeah, I just.
But one other question would be like, is it can we add controllers dynamically later, like after startup?
No. So at this moment, it has to restart the operator to add more controllers.
I see.
So because we don't bring other, I think, like CRDs, we don't have the dynamic feature to listen on some CR changes to register to the manager. Yeah. So there's some challenges. For example, we need to is more on the management side. For example, currently there's new proposals to add a framework. So should we add this or ask the like the framework contributors to do the work? Because if we do this way, we have to make the changes in the in this single repo, right? And we also lose the granular control to graduate or release a single operator. But for this part, I don't have very big concerns because I think most of the APIs are pretty stable, and most of the changes can benefit all the operators. We just need to add more tests to guarantee the qualities. And the third thing is a little bit tricky because we are not very sure like if all the operators, all the frameworks like distributed strategy can be adapted into this implementation. So at this moment, at least for like major popular frameworks that works like TF, PyTorch, and MXNet, attributes, they all work with this solution. But for some of the other frameworks, we are not very sure. And the last thing is the Kubeflow common, like the position. I think if we have that kind of repo, we will have the similar like functionalities like Kubeflow common provides. And I know some users still rely on this library to build their own operators. Sometimes they don't even contribute back to Kubeflow due to some like
Can I
reason.
have a point here?
Yeah.
So basically, do we want to continually support this Kubeflow common for other organizations, and in the meantime use this Kubeflow common in the mono repo?
Yeah. I think here there are users there, but the thing is that if we want to make it as the part of the repo, like Kubeflow training operators, so user have to import the entire project to leverage the packages. So if we have the separate project, they can use that, but it might be out of sync. So I'm trying to see if we can learn some patterns from Kubernetes, because in Kubernetes, the staging components actually sync to some repos like Kubernetes API or Kubernetes API machinery or client Go, etc. So users still can import the minimum code to leverage the library instead of importing the Kubernetes to use that. So I think that's probably the good a good.
Do you know how do they think actually?
They run some like scripts to sync. I can find the details, but it's not very frequent. For example, like a few weeks or months, they sync once. Yeah, and
Okay.
when they do the stable release, they do that. Yeah, I can add more details here. So the second proposal is from Wang, John Wang from Tencent. He actually think of a different way. So instead of using the Kubeflow common as a Golang SDK, so we can make it as the like declarative service. So in this design, the different part is on the right side. So I think the common part is we can still have like a front end operator. We can still use or just use the separate operators. And these operators' responsibility is to decompose the job into several roles. For example, like TensorFlow, we have the parameter servers and workers, and some chef or different roles. And the front-end operators create those role CRs, and the role CRs will be listened and cached by the role operator, which is we can think that's a new operator built on top of like a common, and also have the decorator plugins. So the responsibility of the backend operator is to create the pause resources based on the role CR. For example, I see this parameter, I have 4 and some like volumes, etc. So it used to create the corresponding resources. That's a different, I think, proposal. And we have very clear boundary. The boundary is CR. So we need to abstract those rows into a row CR. Yeah, so I think so in this way we will have 2 operators to finish one job submissions. And firstly, front-end operators will decompose the job to the roles, and then roles create the real Kubernetes objects. And if there's some resources has to be handled by the job operators, So it can still create the Kubernetes level resources. I think the advantage is we force all the operators to use the unified Meta APIs. So it gives us some flexibility compared to the using the SDK, and they also share some advantages from the proposal, the first proposal. We can still save some efforts on the repo management, etc. The remaining challenges, it has more like changes because we already have the operators written using the Kubeflow common, and currently we have to make it to interact with this backend operator and change the logic to create a row CR. And yeah, so there's no guarantee as well. So we can support like other frameworks in the future. And I think the compatibility is still a concern. That's a one-way door. So once we have these options, so all the previous versions cannot be compatible with this one. But this one, the compatibility is a little bit better because if we minimize the changes, so the API, I think from the user's perspective to submit a job, all the API groups or the job spec will look very similar. Yeah, I think, yeah, that's it. And in the Appendix B, I also attached the Kubeflow common history and why we have this repo and the current status. Yeah, we're trying to collect some feedbacks if we want to move to like a single training operator.
Yeah, so a couple of thoughts. So in the second option, our problem from even from the inception was to figure out a better way to abstract all the operators. So I think we have always faced that issue. What would be one abstracted custom resource that can basically take all the operators? So as you said, MPI operator is clearly having a completely different design. So
Right.
here in this one, I think that would be the biggest challenge to have a general operator as in the option 2. In option one problem that I see is how would you allocate resources? Say, for example, you have started the deployment with one controller, and say in the next instant you are running the same binary with 5 controllers. So basically, like, you need more resources. So how do you plan that and then do the deployment?
You mean the resources for the operator itself, right?
Yes.
Yes, I think from that we can give some instructions based on the instrumentations and for example, if you plan to run 2 operators, how much like memory and CPU you need to specify in the deployment spec. Probably provide some best practice. That's from I think. That's what I can think. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, like from my understanding, like speaking a lot that all the training operators should follow the same design. I think from the Kubeflow, like at least that if we can like name something which is related to Kubeflow training, they should share the same like library at least for the API, because we don't really want to have completely separate API design for each operator, right? So I think it would be great if, because I know that API, I know that they're using the different like distribution strategy, but they like the same, like they also sharing the common repo, right?
Right, but we always try to do that, but the problem is the operators finally they have MPI. For example, if you see the MPI API as the custom resource, it's completely different from the TF operator because it works on entirely different way, right?
Right. yeah, I think for some new frameworks, I'm not that sure, but for existing and most common used ones, I think we can unify them. And for the MPL operators, since they change to, I think, use the pod directly, so we can still do that, but leave some flexibility, because current Kubeflow comments, actually you can override any reconcile logics for pods, for services, or even the entire job reconciliation. So we have the flexibility to support those I think differences between the frameworks. But here definitely need more discussion how to elegantly solve the problem. Yeah.
Are we actually planning to have one reconcile for all? Like, if you speak about like the first approach, will we have the one reconcile for all custom resources, or we have like a multiple reconciles?
It actually multiple
Okay.
multiple ones. Yeah.
It has to be multiple.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because in that case, it doesn't really matter like which like workflow API is following, right? If you have the multiple reconciles, we can just simply design them in the way that they should work.
Yeah,
right.
technically we can have different code, like code base merged into one, but I think the goal is to make them as similar as
Yeah.
possible. Yeah.
Yeah, that can be the problem. And like again, like speaking about like second approach, so basically converting the resources to this role customer source. So how are you planning to make it? Will it be like a separate, I don't know, webhook who will convert it, or do you have any plans?
Excuse me. So I missed the first part.
Yeah, I mean, like in your like actual diagram, you just simply convert the different operators to the role customer source, right?
Right.
So what is how this conversion will be done, and can you just give me like more insights here?
Yeah, so it will be similar to current operator, but the difference is we touch the low-level Kubernetes object directly, like pods or services, right? Here it just changed to use the create the role CR instead, and probably some other like advanced features like the like elastic or some other fault tolerant, etc. So we can define some roles which can be consumed by the operator role operators. They try not to touch the low-level objects.
And the user will directly like submit this role if you're talking about like Kubernetes API, not code SDK.
Yeah, so the role is transparent to the users, and you won't user won't understand this. So that's the protocol between the front-end operators and the back-end operators. But the challenge here is probably, I think, yeah, if there's some issues, because there's two operator aims to solve the one job submissions, like the debugging or the like learning curve might be higher. Yeah.
Yeah, I think from my understanding it will be harder for the user. I'm not sure, but because it will require a lot of additional things to do for them to build, because we don't have like the front end to actually make it easier for them, right? And yeah, I don't know, like they also need to understand how does, I don't know, like they also need to understand how does it work to submit different operators, but yeah. Any other comments on this? Because I will also like take a look again, like briefly on this proposal after the meeting again.
I think this is great, you know, making it more efficient for testing and easier for end users with consistent patterns is fantastic. I do think if we look at the user survey, you know, there are certain operators or frameworks that are used more than others, dramatically more than others. And, you know, the ones that are lesser used, how much effort, if they're really an odd duck or different than the rest of them, how much work are you going to spend trying to make them consistent if it just is really hard, right? What's the return on investment there?
Right.
So I think in some ways, as long as you set the expectation that the majority of the training operators act the same way, and maybe there's a couple that are outside the norm, you know, maybe that's one way to minimize our work. But, you know, I'm just trying to find an easy way to get the majority of the people happy.
Makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with Josh. Once we actually try to implement it, we want to make it as easy as possible, like from the user side. Yeah, this is the hard point. But I think it's great. Yeah, we can start to, yeah, we can have another meeting with this, like for the, which is Asia friendly, to just hear their opinions.
Did we create an issue
yeah.
regarding that? We can just have a thread in and discuss the same thing.
Yeah, Josh, can you just create an issue? I don't know, maybe do we need to
Kubeflow common? I think that would be the best place.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, sounds good. I can.
Link. Yeah.
We have I think issue. Let me.
Yeah, we had very similar issues from long time, but I'm not sure whether there is something related to the all-in-one operator as such. Maybe we can tag all these issues from there.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely, and it would be great if you can just link your proposal there, and
okay,
others can also like share their thoughts. I think I think we should share this to the Kubeflow Discuss community group. Yeah, to just maybe ask maybe users what do they think, what will be easier for them to have this sort of the conversion.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Thank you so much for doing this, by the way. Yeah, because I think it will be really valuable, because currently, yeah, there are a lot of problems with maintaining all of this repo and making the releases. I mean, it's like super hard to be in sync with Kubeflow 1. Yeah. If we want to like drive Kubeflow as a project in the future, we definitely want to make the stable releases for training as well. Yeah. And the latest thing that I really want to discuss, like we have a couple of minutes, like about the summit. So again, to just keep everyone aware of it. So basically, we really want to, I don't know, maybe in end of June or somewhere around like the June or maybe start July, we really want to have the summit for training and AutoML, which is basically like we really want to show the people that we're doing a great work, and we really want to ask them what they want to prioritize and see there. So I just really want to ask you, like, what do you want to see, and is it possible to maybe, I don't know, how do you want to arrange it for us? Because the biggest problem here, like how we can invite like people from different time zones, which is basically we have a lot of users from Asia time and like from Europe and from the US. Do you have any ideas here how we can make it possible?
It's impossible.
Okay.
I mean, I think you're just going to have to accept that somebody is going to have a time that's bad, right? I mean, it's just not going to. And if you're organizing it, make it comfortable for you. This is my opinion, right?
Maybe we can have 2 days. I don't know, one for Asia and one for America, for example, like Europe and America.
But that doesn't work.
Makes sense.
But the problem would be who would be presenting in the other time zone, right? Maybe like we can invite people and then see based on their location, we can make a choice then. That is if there are more participants in either time zone, we can do that.
Okay. So yeah, just maybe ask like which presentation they want to show to the community, to the Kubeflow community, and if it is related to training and AutoML, why not? Yeah, but again, like I'm pretty sure I don't know like how many attendance we can take and in the future, but they can be like from different time zones. I think in that case, 2 days should be good for us. But again, like who will organize these two different days for the 2 different time zones?
In the KF Serving Summit, I think they have done in the morning PST time, 8 to 11, 8 to 1 or something like that during the morning time. But that would be a problem for you, right?
No, for me.
European time zone, it would
No,
be
for Europe it will be fine. I worry about the China because
oh, right. So the Chinese one, it will be difficult. Yeah, it will be really late.
I don't know. Okay, Justin, do you have any like maybe people who want to present something to the community from the training perspective, and maybe from your team or any other?
We could actually send out a survey, and then how about that? Like do a doc or like maybe like a form where they can provide some abstract and this one, and then based on that we'll finally get the final list.
Yeah, the training side, I think I can find some people to present their work, like the graph-based trainings and some like large-scale experiences in different companies. We can try to find the people.
Yeah, that definitely will be great, I think. So maybe instead of survey, we can have a Google Doc to just ask people to put their presentation and what they want to show to the community, their use cases. What do you think?
I think that's the way that the KF Serving people did it, and they filled up their calendar pretty quickly. Okay. But you know, if I look at it, you know, you probably want to have something about TensorFlow and PyTorch, you know, some session on those two in particular, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. And just, I mean, ask users to put their time zone and put their like talk, how much time it will take. And we can just arrange the time for them to present it to the community. Because from our perspective, we really want to interact with the users and to ask them like, what do they want to see in the roadmap, and what we should prioritize from the user perspective. But let's just try to create the Google Doc and ask our community. Anything else that you want to discuss? Any questions that you have right now? Okay, then I think it was really great. We have a lot of things to do. Thank you so much, Justin, again, to presenting this. And yeah, I think soon when we actually implement it, this will be really available for us. Yeah, and the next meeting we can finalize the work, and we can just start to doing the implementation after the next meeting after 2 weeks. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for joining. Yeah. So
thank you.
Speak to you soon. Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Andre.